In a world that feels like it's constantly changing, where alliances shift, money moves in a flash, and technology is upending everything, how does a nation actually plan for its future? Like for the next 25 years? It's a huge question. And today, we're diving into India's incredibly ambitious answer, a vision drawn right from its latest economic survey.
So, for years now, India's been a real bright spot in the global economy, one of the fastest growing major players out there. But here's the thing, that amazing performance is now slamming into some serious global turbulence. The old rules, the ones where if you have a strong economy, stability and investment just follow, yeah, that playbook is being totally torn up.
Okay, so this clash between a strong economy at home and a chaotic world outside, it brings us to the core problem that India is trying to solve, and their own economic survey calls it a paradox. So what exactly is this paradox? Well, the survey points out that even with great growth, inflation under control, and healthy companies, the Indian rupee is, and I'm quoting here, punching below its weight. Basically, the global system just isn't playing by the old rules anymore. Having your house in order is no longer a guarantee for a smooth ride. And this is why the world has gotten, well, fragile and uncertain. Trade isn't just about what's most efficient anymore, it's about national security. Geopolitical rivalries are flaring up everywhere. And we're all living in this bizarre reality where we're more connected than ever, but we also trust each other less than ever. The old assumptions, they're completely out the window.
So, in the face of this messy new reality, what's the plan? How does India not just survive, but actually thrive? Well, the answer isn't just a few minor adjustments. It's a massive, ambitious national vision for the future.
At the heart of this whole strategy is one big goal: Viksit Bharat at 2047. Now, that translates to developed India, and the ambition is exactly what it sounds like. The goal is to transform India into a fully developed nation in a single generation, right? By the time it hits its 100th year of independence in 2047. But listen, this is about so much more than just hitting a specific GDP target. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. The real goal is to turn India's growing economic muscle into genuine, lasting strategic influence on the world stage, building the kind of power that secures your place in a very competitive world. All right, so that brings us to the core of the strategy. How do you actually make that jump from being a big economic player to being a real strategic powerhouse? Well, the whole game plan is built around one single idea: becoming indispensable. The roadmap is laid out in what looks like 3 stages. You start by building up your own domestic capacity. Then you build resilience, so you can take a punch from the outside world. And finally, you reach the ultimate goal: strategic indispensability. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The world is moving so fast that you can't do these one by one anymore. They all have to happen at the same time. Let's quickly break down these ideas. First up is strategic resilience. Think of this as building a giant economic shock absorber for the country. It's about being strong enough to handle huge disruptions, like a pandemic, a massive cyber attack, or geopolitical bullying, without falling apart. It's a defensive move, and it's absolutely essential for survival. Now this is the endgame. Strategic indispensability is proactive. It's about becoming so vital to how the world works that other countries simply can't do without you. It's about being a go-to source of reliability and capability. The survey puts it perfectly. India will know it's there when the world stops thinking about buying Indian and just starts buying Indian without thinking. So here's the key difference, right? A resilient nation can take a hit and keep going. It's reacting to the world. But an indispensable nation can actually shape what happens next. It becomes truly influential. That is the massive leap India is trying to make. So we've got the vision and we've got the path. But a transformation this huge doesn't just happen. It needs an engine, a powerful driving force to make it all a reality. So who or what is going to be this engine? Well, the economic survey argues that the biggest bottleneck, and therefore the biggest potential enabler, is the state itself. But not the kind of state we're used to thinking about. The answer is a completely reimagined state, what the survey calls the entrepreneurial state. And no, this isn't about more government control. It's about the state playing a much smarter, more dynamic role in a really complex world. So what does this entrepreneurial state actually do? Well, it acts less like a referee with a rule book and more like a catalyst.
It partners up with private companies and with citizens. Its job is to point the way, get rid of the red tape that slows everyone down, and act as a coordinator. And crucially, it learns as it goes, and it's not afraid to change course. The whole focus shifts from just checking boxes to actually building new abilities.
This chart right here shows you a perfect example of where this new kind of state is desperately needed. India's spending on R&D is way behind the big innovation-driven economies. An entrepreneurial state tries to close that gap. It's not just about spending more money, it's about shifting the country's entire mindset from being a consumer of technology to a creator of it. Through things like the new National Research Foundation, the idea is to kickstart and pull in private R&D and to fire up the kind of deep innovation you need to become truly indispensable. And this all brings us to one final critical point. This entire journey, building new industries, transforming the government, achieving indispensability, it's all a massive race against the clock. It has to happen incredibly fast. I just love this quote from the survey because it nails the urgency of the situation. We're living in a time where, as the survey says, decades seem to happen in weeks. There is literally no time to waste. India has to go after its short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals all at once. It has to run a marathon at the speed of a sprint. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. This whole thing isn't just an economic plan. It's a blueprint for a complete national transformation, set against a backdrop of a very uncertain world. And it really makes you wonder, what does it truly take for a country of over 1.4 billion people to completely remake itself and its place in the world in just one generation?